What is up, guys? It's DFO here, also known as DebatableFootballOpinions on Instagram. I'm here to do a Juventus tier list. Now, some of you may remember that I made a Juventus tier list back when coronavirus was just beginning and football stopped and there was just no football for a few months or so. So yeah, I did it in February, and I guess you could consider that to be like the first half of the season tier list. And obviously, a lot of things happened in the second half of the season. Some players underperformed, some players got a lot better, and the season's finally over. I'm recording this as we got out of the Champions League. Today is August the 9th or something, so it's 2 days after we got out of the Champions League, so our season is officially over. So I just thought to myself that everybody needed a new rating. Now, I'm obviously going to try and be as unbiased as possible like in the last video, and I'm going to try not to criticize players as much as I did before, because if I remember correctly, I over-criticized some players a bit too much. I'll try my best. I just know that there's a lot of change from the first half of the season. There's a lot of players that surprised me both in a positive and negative way. So we're going to head right into it. Let's get the video started. So starting off with Chesney, our starting goalkeeper. I think I put him in the good tier list. And honestly, he's one of the contenders to be like one of the best. Like other than a couple mistakes here and there or like a few chances that he could have done better, I still consider him one of the best goalkeepers in the league. And it kind of hurts me that I'm not going to put him in one of the best just because there's other players that have performed better than him. But I do think that he's one of the best goalkeepers in the league, possibly even the best. So I'm going to start off with Chesney at good. I believe that's where I had him before. Next, we move to Gigi Buffon, and I honestly can't put him anywhere else other than average. Why? Well, he doesn't start as much, and the few times that he started, well, he's been good, sure, but not incredible. Like he's losing it as years go by, even though everybody gives him credit for, you know, performing at 42 years old. He's still a good player, but his performances have been kind of, you know, I mean, I wouldn't call him bad or disappointing or anything. It's just he's pulling average to good performances. Another thing that I'm going to be doing, for example, if I were to put Buffon in the good tier list, but I think that Chesney's better than Buffon, I would put Chesney on the left side. So that's how it's going to work. But I'm putting Gigi at average, but one of the best averages, I would say. Moving on to Rugani. This is a player, man, I think in the previous video I put him in average, but I might have mentioned that I couldn't rate him much because he didn't play much. So I think I just put him on average and just left him there. In the second half of the season, he had a few more matches to play because, well, we won the title at one point and we were just resting our other center backs. And the few chances that Rugani got, they showed me that he's just not cut to play for Juventus. He should have been sold to Arsenal back when he was linked to them like years ago. It just doesn't look like he has much experience or even confidence in himself. He looks like a very weak, doesn't know what to do kind of player. You would think that after being a Juventus player for so long in his career and being next to the likes of Kellini, Bonucci, Berzagli, he would pick up some of their greatness, but he's as average as they come, and the second half of the season was pretty bad for him. So I'm going to put him in the bad category, and I really hope we get rid of him. He's just not cut to be a Juventus player, not even a rotation type player. Moving on to Bonucci. Bonucci's kind of a weird one because I think he had a great first half. When Kellini got injured, the lead wasn't doing great in the first half of the season. Bonucci was there, he was our man, and I believe I had him in the good tier. Now, things changed a lot in the second half of the season, and a certain center back was a lot better than him, and Bonucci just looked a bit shakier. So, seeing as this is the whole season's rating, sure, he had a good first half. His second half of the season wasn't as great. So, I'm going to put him in the average because I wouldn't consider his season good, but I also wouldn't consider it bad. He was just there. He did what he had to do, but he didn't overachieve, in my opinion. Not fully. So, I'm going to put him average, maybe like right there in average, but like I would say very close to good. This is actually a very tough one, but I don't know if I should put him in good, actually. This is one of the tough ones. I have not thought of where I'm going to put all these players. This is kind of like a spur of the moment sort of thing, so it's kind of tough. But if I had to choose, I'm leaving him in the average. His second half of the season was a bit disappointing. Moving on to Demiral. I remember putting him in average just because, well, the games where he started, he looked amazing. He was playing better than the lead. He was playing up there with Bonucci, just as great as him in the first half of the season. Eventually, he got that almost season-long injury, and we haven't seen enough of him after all. I can't do anything else other than put him in the average. Sure, the times that he's played, he's been great, but, well, he hasn't played enough for me to, you know, rate him there. So average it is. Now, Georgio Kellini is the same case. I would think he's still our best center back if he wasn't as injured. He's the most experienced. He's the most he's just a leader in the field. You just want him there, even if he's aging, even if he's not as good as, you know, obviously prime Kellini, but he's still a great player. It's not just his defensive abilities that are there in the pitch when you start him. He's such a great captain, and I would put him always in one of the best. But obviously, same case as Demiral, he hasn't played this season much because of his whole, you know, season-long injury. So I'm going to put him in the average next to Demiral. They go together. Now, the lead is somebody that I probably over-criticized in my previous video, but I don't think I criticized him as much as people think. The first half of the season, I put him as horrible. I should have put him in bad. Maybe horrible was a bit of a over-criticizing thing from me. Now, the second half of the season, hear me out, He's been, along with 2 other players that I'm going to talk about later, one of the best. But the thing is, well, like I said before, this is a video about rating them from the whole season. So you can't really be one of the best in the whole season if you've had a pretty mediocre first half of the season. So seeing as he was pretty bad in the first half of the season, and seeing as he's one of the best in the second half of the season, like obviously, like I need to mention, he saved us a lot of times. He showed leadership, and he showed like he was commanding the back line. With Bonucci doing wars and Rugani not having an idea of how to defend, the lead really stepped up there. So if this was second half, I would put him in one of the best. But seeing as it's the whole season, I'm going to put him in good, maybe below Chesney, because Chesney has done it during the whole season. And I think I'm being pretty fair, seeing as this is the whole season. Now, Cuadrado, I rated him pretty well. I don't know where I put him. I think I put him in good last time, but maybe I'm being too mean on Cuadrado. But I mean, the Lyon game had a pretty bad game. It's just he didn't launch forward, and he's pretty decent defending. I would put him in good, but I guess the Lyon memories are pretty recent. I'm gonna put him in average, just because he hasn't, like, he's a decent right back, and I've heard people call him like the best right back in the league. But honestly, I don't know. He's just not. He's as average as they come, really. Like, not in a bad way. Just, man, we need a new right back. Like every time I see Cuadrado play, I'm surprised that he's as good as he is when his position isn't actually right back, even though he's been playing for like 2 years now. But still, like, he leaves a lot to wish for, you know. I'm gonna put him in average, but, you know, not entirely, like, not in a bad way, just maybe the best average, or below Bonucci, ahead of Buffon. You know, average isn't entirely bad. It just depends where I put you, I guess. I really hope that we get a starting right back. Good all-rounded fullbacks are so hard to find and so hard to come by. There's not a lot of them throughout a whole generation, and I can't believe we let Cancelo go. I would love to have him in there. Now, Alexandre's a lot like Cuadrado. He's a goodish left back, but man, he has been declining this last 2 seasons. He leaves a lot to wish for. Like I said for Cuadrado, he's good at times, but not always. I would say he's pretty average, but not as good as Cuadrado. So I'm gonna put him in there, maybe like behind Buffon. Seems like a good one for me. I'm gonna make a video about how I want my Juventus 2021 to look like, and honestly, one of our main problems, other than midfield, is our fullbacks. Like, they just don't, none of our fullbacks know how to cross a goddamn ball. We have like 6'4" Cristiano up there, and we can't cross him a simple header. And honestly, Cuadrado and Alexandre just, they've been going downhill for the last years. Alexandre more than Cuadrado. Cuadrado, I'd rate him higher overall. But yeah, they both go on average. Alexandre a bit worse. And speaking of crappy right backs, here we got Danilo. He hasn't been horrible, but he's been Danilo, okay? I mean, what do you expect? He's a walking meme, and I wish he would have worked out for us. I remember he scored a goal in 5 minutes into his Juventus debut, but well, he hasn't been starting because Cuadrado has performed better than him, and he just doesn't have what it takes. Same thing like Rugani, he doesn't have what it takes to be a Juventus player. We just signed him because we got rid of Cancelo for attitude reasons, and then we got Danilo like in one of the last days of the transfers, and honestly, he hasn't disappointed because nobody expected anything from him. So I'm leaving it in bad, and I honestly wish we get rid of him and make Cuadrado our backup right back, and you know, we find a starting right back. Same thing with Ciclio. Nobody expects anything from him, and he still lets you down, so I would put him in bad. I would put him in horrible, but he just hasn't done anything for me to be like, oh man, that guy's horrible. It's just what he is of a player. Like, he's a horrible player, but he hasn't had a horrible season. He's had a Ciclio season, if you will. I'm gonna start maybe not criticizing my players too much. Yeah, Ciclio has been bad because that's just the way he is, and he's another player that I want to see out of Juventus. Moving on to our midfield. Our midfield is pretty much like our biggest problem, and maybe this is where I'll go like the meanest on. We have Khedira, Matuidi, Pianic, Bentancur, Rabiot, Ramsay, and honestly, I'm probably getting the worst one out of the way, maybe. I don't know. Khedira, he hardly plays. He doesn't seem to have what it takes. He was taken out of the UCL squad. I would say he's average. But honestly, he's just bad. Like, we gotta get rid of him. He's dead with Khedira. He was rated at one point. Don't get me wrong. I rated him. I would put him in front of Rugani, maybe. Here sounds good, honestly. Matuidi and Pianic. I love this duo back in the day when we signed Matuidi, and then when we signed Pianic from Roma. I loved him. Matuidi was so great. He was such a good box-to-box midfielder. But same thing with Pianic. Same thing with like a lot of players. Like, they've just been declining, and we just need a complete rebuild of midfielders. Matuidi has been bad, and there's no way around it. He shouldn't really start, and honestly, he's hardly even a backup player. So I'm going to put him in bad ahead of Khedira, just because Khedira, well, he hasn't played much, and he's pretty much just there for no reason. But Matuidi, yeah, I'm going to put him in there. Now, Pianic, he obviously hasn't had a season like up to his standards, and I always rated him as a great Juventus player and basically the heart of our midfield. He's obviously been disappointing, but I wouldn't say he's bad like Khedira and Matuidi. I also wouldn't say he's good. Maybe he's right below good. I'm actually pretty happy that we got rid of him for the Arthur swap. I'm really looking forward to having Arthur in our team, but I hate how inconsistent Pianic is. And honestly, he's not even inconsistent. He just has like really bad games like all together, and then he'll have like 1 or 2 good performances where we see all Pianic. Like he just had that one game against, I think it was Sassuolo, where he just bagged like either a hat-trick of assists or 2 assists, and he just played like his old self. It makes me sad to see him go, but at the same time, I'm relieved because he's 30. Like a lot of these players, they're just declining players. And Pianic just doesn't seem like his old self. I hope the best for him. I think he will fit at Barca. And like I said, I'm glad that he's gone. I'm going to put him in average. Finally, we have a good midfielder here. Bentancur has been, without a doubt, the best midfielder in Juve. I'm obviously going to put him in good, but honestly, he deserves to be up there with the best. Maybe he had a couple of off games, but who hasn't? He truly showed all the other midfielders what it takes to play for Juventus. This is the kind of player that I want to see. I want to see a player that knows what he's doing. I know the midfield position is so hard to play and so hard to dominate, but he's such a young midfielder, and he outperformed Pianic, Ramsay, Khedira, Matuidi, all these experienced midfielders. He outperformed them, and he's honestly one of the few players that gives me a little bit of hope for next season. I know that we have a lot of signings and a new manager and whatever, but if I were to just look at the squad and think about what's coming for next season, I wouldn't be happy at all. But Bentancur is one of the players that gives me that sign of relief, like, hey, at least we got Bentancur, and I think he's gonna outperform this season because he's a young player who's still learning a lot. Logically, his next season should be better. After we rebuild our midfield and we bring better players, I think Bentancur should have a way better season than the one that he had. So he's one of the players that I'm very, very looking forward to. I'm going to put him ahead of the lead. The lead, like I said, he was one of the best players in the second half of the season, but Bentancur has been great all around, like from beginning to end. Our best midfielder. I rate him very highly as of this season, so I'm going to put him in there in good. Pretty close to one of the best, along with Chesney. Now, Rabiot and Ramsay, in the last video, I put them together, I think either maybe at average or something, because they have very similar circumstances. They are both great players who came to kind of fix our midfield and who get injured pretty often. Not long injuries, just very short ones that stop them from playing and showing their worth. But Rabiot, his second half of the season really came clutch for him, and he was a great player for us. He basically made his way into the 11 next to Bentancur. He showed glimpses of showing that he could be a great Juventus player in the future. I'm going to put him in the good tier. Ramsey's second half of the season is pretty much the same as the first half of the season. He played a few games, but he has been injured a lot, or he hasn't played a lot. He shows good glimpses when going forward. He's a pretty good like center attacking mid, but still he hasn't played much. And he just got outshadowed by Rabiot and Bentancur. Just because we haven't seen enough of him, I wouldn't call it bad, obviously. But average, the good type of average seems like the good place to put him. So maybe right below Pianic or Bonucci. Below Bonucci seems fine. Bernardeschi is a player that I put in horrible. Why did I put him in horrible? Because Mr. Sarri here tried to play him at center attacking mid. Now, I said over and over again, and I'm pretty sure I'm repeating myself from what I said in the previous video, Bernardeschi is not a center attacking mid. He doesn't have awareness. He doesn't have the vision that other center attacking mids have. Playing the cam position is such a tough one, and not everybody can do it. Now, Bernardeschi, I don't think he has the anything to play center attacking mid. He's a great winger, and in the second half of the season, Sarri started him a lot in a 4-3 sort of thing where we had Dibala up top, Cristiano on the left, Bernardeschi on the right. It was such a relief to finally see him play as a right wing. He still shows glimpses, just like last season. He shows little signs that he can become the player that he was at Fiorentina. I really like him in the right wing, and I want him to stay there. I don't want any manager to come through and change things and be like, no, Bernardeschi is a center attacking mid. No, he's not. He's a great winger, and he still shows signs that he can be a great winger for us, and he's still very young as well. So yes, sure, he had a horrible first half of the season, but I don't think he's to blame. I was very mean to him in the previous video, but honestly, I should have been meaner to somebody else. So, seeing as he improved, I'm gonna put him in average, but like the very end of average. Not entirely bad. Like I said, it's not his fault that he underperformed. It's just he was put in a position that he didn't play. And when he was given a chance at right wing, he did good. But again, this is a whole season review, so I'm going to put him average. Douglas Costa is a weird one to rate because every time he gets a chance to play, he plays pretty good, but he doesn't play enough. He's an injury prone, and I've heard a lot of rumors saying that we might just sell Douglas Costa, not because he's a bad player, just because he gets injured very, very often. And we can hardly play him. It's like we're just paying his wage and he doesn't really play at all. So if I had to put him somewhere, even though he has played good, every time he gets a chance to play, he just hasn't played consistently enough. I know it's not his fault. He's just very injury prone, and what can you do about that other than, well, just wish that he stops getting injured or, well, sell him. I'm gonna put him ahead of Pianic. Yeah, ahead of Pianic sounds good. Alright, moving into the top 3. Higuain, Paulo Dybala, and Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, you guys know that I love Higuain. You guys know that I admire him as a player. The people who follow my account know why I admire him. And you guys know I'm a very big fan of him. Not because I'm a Juve fan or an Argentina fan. I just very like Higuain for the many reasons I've listed before. But like I said, I'm not going to be biased here. I got to admit it. Higuain is completely dead. When we signed Cristiano, I thought that Higuain and Cristiano could have that kind of connection that Cristiano and Benzema had. Kind of like Cristiano would be like the poacher type player, where Higuain was more of like the target man who created chances for Cristiano. And I thought it was going to work. I thought when I saw that Dybala wouldn't start a lot, I thought, well, now we get a chance to see this connection between Cristiano and Higuain. But let me be honest, bro. Every single time that Higuain and Cristiano have been put together, Higuain looks like he's an annoyance to Cristiano. They don't connect well together other than a few chances that I've seen. Higuain just looks completely out of place. He doesn't have a finisher role anymore. And if his role was changed to like target man where he creates chances, he doesn't do that either. He doesn't really connect to other players. When you see a lot of players trying to connect with him and pass him the ball, he loses the ball, he holds it badly, loses possession of the ball. I don't think Higuain is fit to play for Juventus anymore. When he was linked to leaving last summer, I wanted him to stay badly, and I wanted him to show to his haters and to the club that he was still worthy of playing for Juventus. He stayed after the summer ended, and he had his chance. He had an okay first half, but the second half, man, I've gotta admit it, he's just not cut for Juventus anymore. I wish we could go back to seeing the Higuain that scored 36 goals in a single season, but he's just not there anymore. He's at the end of his career, and we might just see him leave Juventus this summer, go to River Plate, go back to Argentina, maybe stop at another European club before. But I'm gonna put him in bad. Where? Above Rugani, because Rugani is completely trash. Higuain isn't trash, he's just bad. Okay, so we have 2 players left. You guys already know where they go. I'm gonna talk about Dybala first. Now, look, this is what happened. Like about 2-3 months ago, I made a thread on my Instagram page where I said Dybala was our most important player. Yes, ahead of Ronaldo, our most important. Keep in mind, our most important doesn't mean the better player. Now, when I said that, everybody went into my DMs and penetrated me, and you asshole. But then Dybala got injured, he missed a few games, and everybody realized, hey, why is Juventus not playing good? Why isn't Cristiano scoring? Why does no one look like they're supporting Cristiano? Because Dybala's not there. Because you can't expect dead Matuidi, Khedira, Higuain to support Cristiano like Dybala does. Yes, Cristiano has a lot of goals. Yes, he's the star of the team. Yes, he's the reason why we have won a lot of games, a lot of achievements this season. But he would obviously not perform as well without Dybala. And that's not shaming Cristiano. That's just shaming our horrible midfield and our horrible supporting players. Dybala is our most important player, not because he's better than Cristiano, but because he's the one that supports Cristiano the most. And without him, we'd be dead. You guys know I'm a big Dybala fan, and I don't think I'm being biased when I say that he's the most important player. A lot of people seem to be agreeing with me now, but it's not entirely everyone. Now, I don't want everyone to agree with me. Obviously, everybody has their different opinions, and I've had talks with people who still think Cristiano is our most important player, and I've debated about it in a healthy way. A lot of Ronaldo fanboys think that by me saying this, I'm shaming Ronaldo and that I'm talking bad about him and whatever, but I'm not. I love Cristiano and I love that he's in our team. Dybala has been one of the best, whether you like it or not. Whether you follow Juventus because you're a Juve fan or because you're a Ronaldo fanboy, Dybala has been the most important player this season. He's one of the best. Now, Cristiano Ronaldo, not much to say about him. He's a great player. He almost won Capocannonieri, the top scorer of Italy. He was off by like, I don't know, 4 or 5 goals. I mean, Immobile has been incredible this season. But honestly, when Dybala has been injured, Cristiano still manages to hold this whole team together. Like you could say this is almost like a 2-man team, 3-man team. What else can I say other than Cristiano has been the best player this season in Juventus? If he wasn't there and we had to trust the likes of Higuain, like we'd be completely dead. Even having Dybala assist Higuain and making him try and make him a great striker who banks goals for fun, I don't think any other striker could hold the team just like Cristiano has done. He's been incredible. In that Lyon game, we looked off and he's literally the only one that came close. Like that second goal, it's something that only he can do. Like nobody in our team, maybe other than this guy, can step up and do what he does. Nobody. He's been the best player. He's still great despite his age. And these two and a couple more here deserve so much better. It's a shame that we have these two and we are performing like we are. It's really a shame. And I can't wait to see what Pirlo does. I can't wait to see what new signings we bring in. But we really need better players because we already have some great ones that are not being supported, that are not being helped. Okay? Anyways, best player in the season. Best player in Juventus. Let's move on. Mauricio sorry. When he was appointed and he had his first few games, I already started complaining about how he wasn't the right man for the job. He won us the league, but honestly, a big part of me thinks that Lazio would have won the league if there was no Corona. Inter were also really close to catching up to us. He couldn't win against Napoli in the Coppa Italia. I don't really blame neither the team or the manager. Maybe the mentality was off in that game. It's just, you know, it was right after the restart, and we lost in penalties to Napoli. I don't really blame them for that. I just blame him for not bringing any tactics. I don't think I've even seen any glimpses of whatever Sarri ball is. He never brought in any motivation, passion, whatever. He literally spent all season writing notes on his stupid board and smoking until the end of time. I don't think he knows how to handle big players. I don't think he knows how to put his tactics, his way of style into Juventus. I don't think he was ever the right man for the job. I think I mentioned in my last video that a lot of people told me that he's a long-term kind of manager who brings in results and his play style as the seasons go by. And that's exactly why I don't think he should have ever been appointed. If he's a long-term manager, why the heck are we bringing him? Juventus don't need a long-term manager. We need the complete opposite of that. We need somebody who will come into the club, make changes right away, and give us that UCL that we've been hoping for what, 20 years? It was really a shame when we lost Conte to Inter, and we had to bring this guy in. He performed at Napoli, he had his little history, but he never cut it for Juventus. I believe in the last video, I put him in bad. I don't know if I'm being too harsh, but I'm gonna put sorry at horrible. Well, there you guys have it. That is my complete tier list. In one of the best, there's only Cristiano and Dibala. At horrible, there's only Mauricio Sarri. If you enjoyed this type of video, leave a like. And if you enjoyed this kind of content, make sure to subscribe. It'll put a huge smile on my face. And I will thank you and love you forever. No, but seriously, thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. I got a lot of videos coming up for you guys this month of August, and I can't wait to show it all to you guys. As always, thank you so much for the support. I will see you guys next time. Cheers. I really like, even me, did a Juventus tier list